Hi there, Melody Moore here. Today, we're going to talk about the knowledge worker dilemma. Uh, this is something that plagues everyone that works online, and I don't think that a lot of people recognize it. And so that's really what I want to draw out today is to help you recognize the knowledge worker dilemma, whether you're a business owner or you're working in a business that's either online or requires you to use your brain, you're probably a knowledge worker. The majority of us now are knowledge workers. How do we define a knowledge worker? Well, you're using your brain more than you're using your hands, your physical labor. The issue with this is that our world has transitioned to more knowledge work than manual labor, but a lot of our management strategies and our self-management strategies and our leadership strategies really are around managing manual work. They haven't really evolved with the type of work that we do on a day-by-day basis. And this is something that I'm fascinated by because I run an agency. We sell knowledge work essentially. And it has always just felt a little hard. It's like, well, why is this so hard? And it really does come down to that we haven't really fully appreciated that we need to think about work differently with knowledge work than we do with manual work. And so with knowledge work, you've got some core challenges. One is just overwhelm and overload. And some people or some people might come into a business and be like, this company is just so overwhelming. It's like that's the nature of the beast here. And we need to develop systems and strategies that can help with that overwhelm. And then two, it's a matter of like how do you prioritize things out? How do you know what's important and what's not important? Because there's just so many different things. At any given time, you're going to have things just thrown at you, and it does not matter the business. It is just a reality of that knowledge worker mindset. And then the third one is really being able to self-manage and manage your emotions. When you are showing up and just doing some manual work, you can kind of just shut your brain off and like turn those things off. But when you're a knowledge worker, those emotions, that stress, that fatigue, that anxiety, it comes up and it shows up in your work whether you like it or not. So we need to become more aware of our emotions and what we're bringing to the table because something is a lot easier when I'm working through with it with the client or a team member when like we're on a good emotional space than like in either one of us is in a stressed out or angry or whatever space. So like really being aware of that is incredibly important. And I don't think that we have really evolved as a society to appreciate that knowledge work is different. The other thing with it is that you cannot work the same amount of hours in a week that you can with manual labor. At the same time, your off time is also work time because I can be in the grocery store and be thinking about something that a problem or something that I was doing. And I'll be like, oh yeah, that's that idea. Or I could be in a yoga class or I could be dancing. I could be whatever else. So it's like with knowledge work, you don't turn it off in the same way that you do with manual labor. Like if I'm going to go in, I'm going to be construction worker, I'm going to build a house. I'm not going to go home and like keep building that house. But if I'm trying to understand like the logic of a really complex system, and I'm like, okay, how do I get it so that people go from here to here to here to here? If I step away from my computer, maybe go for a walk or go and do something, then that my wheels are still turning. Now, the challenge with that as a business owner and a leader is like, well, I want people to be working. I want people to be sitting at their desks and I want them to be working, but that is in conflict with what makes a good knowledge worker because sitting at your desk, it's not manual labor. You need that time to kind of process things, to understand those things. And I think that our management practices really haven't appreciated that. The challenge with that from a business owner standpoint is how do I trust my people? How do I make sure that they're not just going to be screwing around because that is a risk. You don't know necessarily like what they're doing. So there has to be a degree of trust, but more so an understanding on results. Like what are they actually producing for you and producing for your company? It's such a layered problem. And I think as a society, we really haven't started to really dig into this of like, what does that mean? the big solution that we found at Business Tech Ninjas is really incorporating some strong technical backup. And I think this is one of the number one things that will help knowledge workers is technical systems that give them the structure that they need to be able to process things. So for instance, in like the things that are just coming at you all day long, like you need a system to be able to handle that, to say I check my emails at this and this time, or I do this and this thing. This is how I process it each time, and like organize those different things. I have a process for my inbox where it's like everything comes in the inbox. We don't touch or look at anything. It gets sorted, and then we go through things, and that keeps that overwhelm down. But we need to be more cognizant and aware of the challenges of being a knowledge worker, because I think that, don't quote me on this. I'm not a scientist. I'm a scientific person to an extent, but like we've seen the rise of stress and overwhelm and depression. And I think that you probably see a correlation with our move to online work and knowledge work, because it just does feel like this in this challenge that you just can't get over, of like, how do I handle this? If only I wasn't procrastinating all the time. If only I wasn't doing this. But really what you need is systems and structure and good tools and technology. AI is changing the game. I think AI is really going to be the tipping point to really help knowledge workers be able to do more with less, and ultimately be more effective with their work. Um, and just good systems and structures, and that awareness of our emotions, and then what you're bringing to the table. Because as a knowledge worker, you cannot just show up and be in a really really shitty mood and do good work. It just does not happen that way. You might be able to do it if you're building a house, but not necessarily with knowledge work. Sometimes you just got to get through things, but that personal development aspect of really understanding ourselves as humans is so much more important when you bring it into knowledge work. So it's a fascinating topic, something that we work through on a day-by-day basis at Business Tech Ninjas, both internally as we with our team members more so, but also really looking at the clients that we're working with. Because if making a website was easy, they probably wouldn't be coming to us in the first place. They wouldn't have gone through one, two, or sometimes three other web development companies. It's not just about what you're doing, it's about how you're doing it. And the underlying aspect of that is knowledge work, and really getting people that are very good knowledge workers, because there ain't nowhere to go learn that right now. But that's what we're trying to create, because I believe that if we crack this, then people will be a lot happier, and we'll be able to produce really really cool stuff that makes businesses stronger and makes people's lives better. So anyways, Melody Moore, as I delve more into this, please subscribe. I will be releasing more videos on YouTube around the knowledge worker journey.